Whatever you do, never go to a gyno for that fishy smell. So I studied to get my doctorate for a very long time at a prestigious university, and I always wanted to be a gynecologist. But the way it works is a couple years in, you start working in clinics and they assign you a mentor. And the mentor they assigned me was this Nigerian woman called Dr. Okonkwo, who'd been there for like 20 years. Very direct woman, didn't sugarcoat anything. And because she'd been doing this so long, I trusted everything she told me. And a lot of it aligned with what I was taught in school, at least for the first few months. But I'll never forget, I was maybe 5 months into my placement and had this woman come in, mid-30s, telling me the most common thing I hear. The smell keeps coming back, discharge won't stop, and she's been through antibiotics 3 times, tried boric acid, tried the probiotic gummies from Amazon, and nothing's working. And I remember from school exactly what to do. Another round of antibiotics, but longer course this time. So I told her, look, I've got exactly what you need. Let me go to the back and write this up. But when I went to the back is when it went off the rails, y'all. So Dr. Okonkwo is also in the back room and asked me what this patient is in for. And I told her verbatim, like, recurring smell and discharge that won't go away. Already been through multiple rounds of antibiotics, tried boric acid, tried probiotics, nothing sticking. And she says, well, what are you going to give her? And I told her another course of antibiotics, maybe 14 days this time instead of 7, with some boric acid. But she starts looking at me like I'm insane and says, so you're going to give her the same thing that hasn't worked 3 times already? And I'm like, well, that's what we were taught. Antibiotics kill the bacteria, the infection clears, and boric acid balances pH. She put down her pen and says, sit down, young lady. She tells me that what they teach in medical school is about 10 years behind the research. And the research now shows that when bad bacteria overgrow, they build protective layers on the vaginal walls called biofilms that are like sticky protein shields sealing the bacteria underneath. So when antibiotics come through, they kill what's on the surface, but the bacteria hiding under the biofilm survive. And because antibiotics kill all bacteria, they're also wiping out the good bacteria that's supposed to keep everything balanced. But what's worse is when the protected bad bacteria sense they're under attack, they disperse and actively spread to new areas to survive. So every round of antibiotics is killing surface bacteria, destroying good bacteria, and training the protected colony to spread further and build thicker walls. She said this is why it keeps coming back worse. So the patient isn't failing the treatment is failing the patient. And I told her, but she's here at the clinic. We have to do something, right? This woman just wants to feel like herself again. And there's this little closet in the back room where we keep our coats and bags. And Dr. Okonkwo goes to the closet, reaches into her bag, and pulls out this pouch. She says, we're going to give her these. Come with me. And we walk back to the patient room. She closes the door and lowers her voice a bit, like this was some kind of secret. But she says, look, the standard protocol isn't going to help you, but I'm going to give you something from my personal supply. She holds up the pouch and says, this contains what women in Nigeria have used for generations. My grandmother always kept bromelain in the house and made fermented foods for specific bacteria. Women back home rarely dealt with these recurring problems, and we never understood why until Western research finally caught up. She explains that pineapple stems contain an enzyme called bromelain that breaks down the biofilm so bacteria can't hide. And the fermented foods contain a bacteria called Bacillus coagulans that rebuilds healthy flora. She says this company called Nuora put it together in a formula. Clinical dose bromelain, Bacillus coagulans probiotic, and no sugar because those sugar gummies feed the bad bacteria. She gives the lady the whole pouch, tells her take 2 a day. And the lady's confused because we talked about antibiotics. But Dr. Okonkwo explains why that would just make things worse and shows her the research on her phone. After the patient leaves, I asked if she had another pouch. She laughed and said, these are hard to find. Most brands just use pineapple flavoring and load them with sugar. She said Nuora is the only one she trusts because it's actual bromelain. She gave me a pouch from her bag. But 60 days later, that woman came back for a follow-up. And y'all, she was almost in tears, saying it was the first time in 2 years that things had cleared up. I've taken Nuora every day since, and I keep a pouch in my clinic bag just like Dr. Okonkwo did. So if you're stuck in the cycle and nothing's working, this is probably why. I'll drop the link below if you want to see if they are still in stock.